So tonight the task is the water pump. The water pump in the truck is quite loose. So I've got this new one painted up in Ford blue, and now I have to take the other one off. There's a fair amount of stuff you've got to take off. Obviously the fan pulley, you have to take this bracket off down here that holds the bottom of the alternator on. The top of the alternator has to come off, so the whole alternator. The power steering bracket has to come off. It's the top of the power steering. And yeah, and that looks like about it. And then of course that hose in the middle there has to come out. So it's not a small job. It doesn't look difficult, but it's not a small job. So don't bother trying to pull the bolts out when you get them loose. There's 4 of them, 1/2-inch head. Just loosen them up, and then you can pull the whole fan assembly out with the bolts still in it. That's way easier because there's not enough clearance in the radiator to get it out. So now you have it without the fan. Obviously this pulley's going to have to come off after the belts are off. But next step is, I guess I'll do the water pump. I mean the power steering pump, I guess, next. There's a lot of bolts there. So I better get cracking. Okay, power steering's out. Actually, in the end, I didn't have to touch these. Thought I would, but I didn't have to. It's really quite simple to get off. It's a bolt here, a bolt here, so there and there, and a bolt here, all a 9/16 heads. This one's a little bit larger. This is the one that goes here. Mine had a couple of washers behind the bracket. Your mileage may vary, but that's the way mine was. So with it off, you can see the 2 water pump bolts that I need to get out here and here. And of course, take this hose off. I'm tempted to replace the fuel pump while I'm here, but it's really not giving me any trouble, so I'm not going to. So next is the alternator, and that's got a bolt down here and one up here and one right here, and one under the alternator. So there's quite a few bolts there to get the alternator off, and that's up next. So I've got the pulley off here, and one thing I notice, if you ever change one of these, you should check this. There's a really deep groove in the back of this pulley, and it was chock full of dirt. And that dirt probably just came from years and years of use, but it certainly didn't help keep this thing balanced at all with all this dirt in here. So make sure you clean it out. I think what I'm going to do is clean this up real nice and paint it. You only have it out once, so I might as well do it right. Okay, ready to take the water pump out. Got the lower hose removed. I don't know if that's rusty water or orange antifreeze. Once I get everything out, I'll take a look. I think it's orange antifreeze, which I'm not a big fan of, but we'll see once we get it out. This top hose is off, comes right off the top. This pipe is going to have to come out. The new one didn't come with this pipe. This is going to be really fun to get out. It screws in, it's not press in, and I'm going to have to use a lot of heat, I think, to get that out. We'll see. But as you can see now, we've got a bolt here and here. On the other side, very, very similar here and under it. And then it should pop out. So now on to those 4 bolts, and this thing ought to be out of here. Okay, it's out. Almost fell out, you know. once I got the bolts loosened up. It wasn't hard at all, it wasn't stuck. But I am worried about this pipe right here. So I'm going to try to get it out without heat. But if I have to heat it, I'm just going to use MAP gas right here. Don't heat the pipe, heat the base so it'll expand. And I think that'll take it out. But let me try this first. I don't want to crank too hard on this. I'll break or bend the pipe. Oh, it's moving. It's moving. Oh, let's hope that this keeps going. Oh yeah, it's going to come right out. No heat, nothing. It looks like the previous owner must have put Teflon on the threads. And that's probably why it came out so easily. See the Teflon there? Oh wow, that's awesome. Okay, that makes my job a whole lot easier. So now I'm gonna clean this end up good and get this pipe installed in the new pump. All right, it's ready to go in. Got some new gloves on so they're nice and clean. Got the gaskets all shaved off that were on the block, but there really wasn't much there. You didn't glue them to the block if you glued them to anything. What I've done is I've glued them to the water pump like that with gasket glue, not gasket maker. It's actually a difference. But what I'm going to do here with a clean finger is put a very, very, very thin smearing of RTV on here, just as an extra precaution. This is pretty smooth. One thing I noticed, this bolt hole here at the bottom that has the rag in it, that goes right through the water jacket. I think it's called a blind bolt. And I'm going to need to seal that with sealer so that it doesn't leak through. So I have some stuff made for that I'm going to put on the bolt as I put it in. Don't forget to do that or it might leak. All right, it's not in yet, it's going in. Put a little bit of oil on 3 of the bolts. Notice that the hose is in place. I forgot to put the hose clamps on at first, so I'm gonna have to undo them and put them on, but that's no big deal. Now here's the bolt at the bottom that goes right through. I've not put oil on it, but what I'm going to do is put this stuff on it. That's what this is for. Just brush it on and it seals the threads in the block and won't let water past it. Just put a little bit on the bolt and screw the bolt in. That's next. Looking good. Hose is hooked up, completely bolted in, ready for the pulley and the fan at this point. Put some coolant in it, gonna let the air bubbles come out of it. So I'm gonna let it sit for a few minutes and put the fan on. It's in. It's in. No leaks. Looks real good. All the belts tightened up. Couple of tips. If you end up removing the bottom alternator bracket altogether, make sure you put the inner bolt on before the pulleys. Well, you'll have to loosen the pulleys up to get it on. The only reason I took that off was I wanted to get everything free and clear to see what was going on. But you don't have to, but if you do, remember that tip. Everything else is looking good. I'm happy with it. Got the power steering pump adjusted. This pump is much quieter. The other one was making noise and loose, and I knew it wasn't long for this world, so this one's real nice. So we're getting there. I'm almost finished with this truck. Gonna do a couple more things and then I'll be done. Enjoy.